to give you some perspective on what service members go through in the military. So I'm not going to give you any groundbreaking information, anything you probably don't know, except for that perspective as to what a service member goes through. Each and every service member is different. How they deal with things obviously are different. Every human is different. But I do want you to understand how the military works and how service members go through their time in the service, whatever length of time it is. Now on this screen, I do have student veterans and higher education in purple. And the reason it's in purple is purple for the military signifies support to all branches of service. So there's, if you mix all the colors that represent each branch of service, it makes the color purple. In April, that's the month of the military child, and the theme is usually purple up. So all the kids wear purple, or family members wear purple in support of all the branches of service. Now, why do I want you to understand this? Is it because we're stupid? Is it because we deserve special treatment? Is it because we're lazy and just want people to do stuff for us? Obviously, the answer is no, it's none of that. But what it boils down to is the Army culture, or the military culture, is very different than civilian culture. It's kind of like dropping an Italian in Japan and saying, hey, go live your life and thrive. And oh, by the way, finish your higher education too. That's extremely difficult to do. Maybe easier for some than others, but initially very difficult. Here's my agenda for today's training. And I also want to say I could be here for hours explaining different nuances or differences between civilian and military culture. But what I want you to get out of this are a few very, very simple things. By no means is anything what I'm about to say going to be an end-all be-all for all veterans. But hopefully, again, it's going to give you that perspective or that context to where veterans and service members are coming from. THEC is relentlessly focused on increasing the number of Tennesseans with post-secondary credential and very involved in making sure the population of students are supported. We pursue this goal by innovating for student access and success, creating a policy environment conducive to increased degree attainment. So the goal, the end goal, ensuring everybody complete their higher education goals. Veterans are obviously a part of that population, and that's what I'm going to speak about today. The military is a culture, and it's including all branches. So we have a lot of shared values, a lot of shared systems, a lot of shared processes. However, each branch has its own culture within their branch. Today, if I just help you understand a little bit of what someone goes through the military, then I consider this a success. Now, my experience is Army, so I'm going to speak probably a lot to the Army. I have worked in joint assignments, so I have some insight onto other branches. However, obviously my experience is Army. That being said, just remember that military have a lot of the same shared processes, shared cultures. So the mission of the U.S. military as a whole is to defend the United States and its interests against all enemies and provide combat capability worldwide in support of U.S. security objectives. The Army's mission, fight and win our nation's wars, ground operation. Navy is to defend our freedoms, preserve economic prosperity, and keep the seas open and free. Air Force is to fly, fight, and win. Air power anytime, anywhere. Coast Guard to ensure our nation's maritime safety, security, and stewardship. Marines win our nation's battles swiftly and aggressively in times of crisis. Space Force secure our nation's interests in, from, and to space. So each one of these mission statements has a very shared perspective. The shared perspective is to support the United and defend the United States. But also in that, they have their very specific goals: maritime, air, space, ground operations. So that being said, this is a team dynamic for the military, and each branch has their puzzle piece to fit the picture. Here are some demographics of the military, just to give you some perspective on the percentages in each branch. 1.37 million are in active duty, 364,000 in reserves, and Army and Air National Guard 450,000. That makes 2,630,000 people serve in some capacity, which is 7.89% of the population. Okay, why people join? There's a myriad of reasons for why people join. This by no means is an all-encompassing list of why people join the military, but it could be patriotism, their own intrinsic self-desire to serve. It could be a tradition passed down from a parent, grandparent, aunts, uncles, etc. It could be to escape a bad home life, whatever that means. It could be adventure and travel. Everybody knows you can go anywhere and everywhere in the military. It could be financial incentives. There could be signing bonuses. There could be education incentives to pay for school, and then career opportunities, getting a certain skill set, or getting training, or just experience in a certain job field. The next slide is a video on how recruits are received at basic training. I want you to listen particularly to the instructions that they're given, the very specified instructions they're given. Now imagine you're 17 or 18 years old, think you're grown, you're finally at a point where you can go make your own decisions, live your life how you want to. You decide to volunteer to go into service, and then this is how you're treated. Or maybe you're a little older and have lived your life and supported yourself fully, and then have to come and be treated like this. Or you may even have a family and have your own children to be responsible for, and then you're coming to this and being treated like this. I came in the Army at 23, so after going to college for 2 years and then moving to Florida and Arizona just because I could. And so this was a hard pill to swallow, even for myself, when I got to basic training.
All right, listen up. Everybody take the cell phones out, hold them up. All right, on behalf of Lieutenant Colonel Brown, Command Sergeant Major Carr, welcome to 120th AG Battalion, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Take your phones, turn them off, put them in your bags. All right, I'm a drill sergeant. Everyone wearing a hat like this or something similar is a drill sergeant. You will address us as drill sergeant. Do you understand? Yes, drill sergeant. From here on out, the last 3 words out of your mouth will be yes or no, drill sergeant. Do you understand? Yes, drill sergeant. So a few things are going to happen. First, when I tell you to get off my bus, females, you're going to get out first. You're going to go to the vertical yellow lines on the left side in front of you. Males, you're going to go to the vertical yellow lines on the right side. Your paperwork will be in your left hand. Your bags will be in your right hand. Paperwork in the left hand, bags in the right hand. Females on the left, males on the right. You will have your heels, both of your heels together on the vertical yellow line. Do you understand? Yes, drill sergeant. You have 2 minutes to get off my bus. Go. Female, put your hand on your tight flat behind your head. Tight flat behind your head, go down.
Let's go.
You, everybody right now, go up there. Go up there. Keep it on.
Look straight forward.
Let's go, female. All right, at this time, you're going to raise your left hand directly in front of you and make it so you are not touching the person in front of you. Raise your hand now. If you're in the front, there is nobody there, put your hand down. Make it so you don't touch them. If you're about to run into the front, break it off, get up there.
So, white shirt, break up your knees. Hands up, he said, put it down there.
Put your arms down. Put your bags in front of you now. Put your paperwork on top of your bags. Male, next to your left, females to your right. Do it now. Listen up, if you're wearing a hoodie, jacket, coat, any type of outerwear, and you have an appropriate shirt on underneath that outerwear, you're going to take it off and put it inside of your bag. Do it now.
You should not see skin. Do not see skin. Go, hurry up. Go. Everything you do fast. Hurry up.
Now, if you're wearing any jewelry, earrings, body piercing, anything other than a wedding band or an all-black watch, take it off, put it in your bag. Wedding rings, all-black watch, everything else goes.
Your hands by your side. Heels together. Your heels are on the yellow line.
Unless you're wearing athletic pants, yoga pants, jeggings, leggings, ball shorts, sweatpants. Unless you're wearing some of those athletic pants, you're going to tuck your shirt in. When you do this, you will not unbutton, you will not undo any belts. You will make it so that way we see nothing other than you tucking in your shirt. Do it now. Quickly, let's go. Quickly, let's go.
You're wearing athletic gear. He said, do not tuck your shirt in if you are. Attention to detail. Pay attention.
Yes, Mr. Sergeant. Now listen up. You have already failed your first task, your only task that I've given you. I gave you 2 minutes to get off the bus. Because you were moving very slow, I had about one person for every 5 that was actually moving with a purpose. So what you're gonna do now, everyone get in the push-up position. Do it now. The position you are in is called the front leaning rest position. From here on out, this is the front leaning rest position. If you ever hear someone say, front leaning rest position, move. When they say move, that is the command of execution. When they say move, you will get into this position. This position is the front leaning rest position. Now I recommend you fix your face because you need to make your attitude less visible. Check it out. There are a few things we will tell you to do while you are here. All of them require simple yes or no. All of them require you to move with a purpose. And if you have an attitude, you need to put it away. And if it's showing on your face, you really need to fix your face. Start doing push-ups. There are simple things that we will tell you. Very simple things. We make it so you do not have to think. We will tell you everything you need to know. We will tell you the who's, the what's, the where, and the when. You do not need to know the whys. We will tell you everything you need to know. You will do it exactly as we say, or you will fail. If you fail because you did your own thing, you will get very used to this position, and I promise you will not like it. Stop doing push-ups. You will do exactly what we say, exactly how we tell you to do it. On your feet. So, no one said dust off your hands. No one said to fix paperwork. Come in our position, move. Simple things. We tell you what to do. We tell you how to do it. If I wanted you to dust yourself off, I would have told you to do so. You do your own thing, you get used to this position. Start doing push-ups. While you were here at Fort Jackson in a basic combat training initial entry training environment, there are 3 rules you will live by. Rule number 1, you will always have a battle buddy. Battle buddy for males consists of you and another male. If there's no male present, you will get 2 females.
2 push-ups, keep your back straight.
Females. Your battle buddy consists of you and another female. If there's no other female present, you will get 2 males. You will either have 1 member of the same gender or 2 members of the opposite gender. You will not go anywhere without a battle buddy present. Next, you will always be on the right-hand side in all hallways. If you're in a hallway, you'll be on the right-hand side. You'll be on the right-hand side of your battle buddy system in a single file line. That means ducks in a row, one behind the other. At no point in time should you be by yourself. At no point in time should you be on the left side of the hallway. And at no point in time should you be side by side. You follow these instructions. You have already succeeded in your first day.
Push your body off the ground. Push it off the ground.
Stop doing push-ups. On your feet. Males face to your right, females to your left. Pick your bags up, put them in your right hand, paperwork in your left hand. Do it now. What's going to happen here in a minute? I'm going to file you all into a classroom. Females are going to go first, males go second. How these filings are going to work. The first person in the next row will look. When the last person in the row before them goes, they will follow behind. So males, look at me, you 3. When the last person goes in that row, and that row, you will simply follow behind, yes?
Yes, sir.
You will follow behind until every single one of you is inside my classroom, standing at the desk. When you get inside the classroom, you will place your bag under the table. Place your bag under the table, take out any and all paperwork. All of your paperwork will be opened and placed on the table neatly. If it's in a folder, a binder, a packet, I don't care what it's in, you will take it out and wait for a drill sergeant to give you further instructions. Your legs, your thighs will be on the back of the chair. I say again, bags under the table, paperwork on top, out of the envelopes, thighs against the back of the chair. Do you understand?
Yes, drill sergeant.
Close it up, close it up.
Put your bags underneath the desk. Put your paperwork on top of the desk. Start taking your paperwork out of the envelopes. Place your legs against the chairs. Do not sit down. Next male. Start taking all your paperwork out of the envelopes. One nice neat stack. Place your bag underneath the chair. Place your paperwork on top of the desk. Start taking all your paperwork out of the envelopes. What's about to happen is the drill sergeant and the cadre, we're going to go through your packets. We're going to take out what we need. And we're going to tell you to put your stuff away. You will quickly put your paperwork away. We tell you to put away. Then you will sit down and place your right hand on the package. Do you understand? Yes, do you understand?
Yes, drill sergeant.
Put all that in your bag. All right, listen up. Whether you're standing or sitting, I don't care. Everyone take the index card that is at the top of the table. Take it and put it in front of you now. Pick up a pencil. Now, where it says name, you're going to write your last name. Do it now. Underneath that, where it says SSN, you're going to write the last 4 digits of your social security number. Do it now. Circle the 3rd digit. Whatever the 3rd digit of your social security number is, circle it. Underneath that, you see your roster number.
Put it all away. Put it in your
The
bag.
letter in your roster number
Get your bag off the table. Get your paperwork off the table.
All of it away, all of it. Step out. Put it in
Sit
the
down, place your right hand on the back.
That letter in your roster number, that is the company you're gonna be in processing with. For all of you, it says C, because you're gonna be in processing here at 120th in Charlotte Company. The next 3 digits, that is your new last name. While you are here, that is your new last name. There's a lot of you and not a lot of time. So you will learn your new last name because that is what you will be called. The final 2 digits, that is the platoon you will be going into. So you will all be in processing with Charlotte Company and the platoons may vary. So if you're platoon 2323, raise your hand. What is your platoon number? Put them down.
89.
Your platoon 89, raise your hand.
Drill sergeant.
Now, there's gonna be a lot of you, and in the next couple days, you're all gonna start looking the same. You're all gonna have the same uniform, haircuts, all that good stuff. So, in order to avoid confusion, if you ever need to find your platoon because you got separated for whatever reason, put them down. You will simply call out your platoon number, 2389. If you are in that platoon and you hear someone call out that number, 2389, whatever, you will echo it so they know where they need to go. So if I say 23, if you're in the 23rd platoon, you will echo it. 2389. 2389. Does everyone understand?
Yes, sir.
Right hand on top of that, sit down. All right, so here, you were not after him, you were before him.
From this point forward, you are a soldier, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you will learn to recite and live by this soldier's creed. You'll be retrained to respect the military rank structure. Now, leaders, as you progress in rank and responsibility, leaders do have their own leadership style and have autonomy to do things the way they feel is best and most effective. However, at the beginning, everyone is sent back to ground zero to learn all the same things. Did anyone pay attention to how detailed the drill sergeant's instructions were? They told them which hand to hold what in, when they got off the bus, which side to go to by gender, how to place their feet when they got to the yellow line that they were supposed to stand on. He told them how to place their bags and where to put the papers, specifically their bags first and papers on top. He told them when they filed into the classroom, thighs up against the back of the chair. So everything was very, very, very specific. He told them, as they were in the front lane rest position, he was going to tell them the who, what, when. They don't need to know the why. Why do you think this works? It works because it puts everyone on the same playing field, no matter what their background is and where they come from. It is built in so that everyone has the same chances of succeeding and learning at the same pace, the military rank structure, military culture, and their responsibilities within that. You learn a different language. At first, if you noticed, he told them to get in the push-up position, but then changed it to when you hear the front leading rest position, this is what it means. So that also happens during basic training. You learn a different language. So you're going back to the very infant stages of life, infant, toddler, that stage of life where you are learning these things. You learned that first, civilian world. Now you're getting sent back there as an adult to relearn a culture, relearn different language, relearn different skills. being part of a good leader is also being a good follower. When you enter the Army, you're the lowest man or woman on the totem pole. Your job is to figure out the Army first. Then, as you make rank, gain responsibility, you get that autonomy to do things how you wish within your left and right limits, which is the Army regulations or military regulations. Really quickly, this is the rank structure. So there are enlisted service members, there's warrant officers, there's company and field grade officers, and then of course general officers. The mission of enlisted service members is to enforce standards. So maintain good order, discipline, enforce standards, and accomplish the end state of what officers put out, the officer's intent. Enlisted leadership are responsible for making sure members of the team are licensed, certified, trained for any role they have on their team, whether it's their job or whether it's just an additional duty of an Army program that they're responsible for, such as equal opportunity or resiliency trainer to give different training in those areas. Warrant officers are technical experts in their job field, responsible for being the commander's advisors and training personnel in their specific job field. They are the subject matter experts in their job field. And then officers. Officers manage people and equipment from a resourcing and manning perspective. They are to make strategic plans to meet operational goals. So they give enlisted leadership the intent. The enlisted leadership carries out that intent with checks along the way. The adjustment to military life can be intense. You have to get used to a new location, new environment, new climate, new culture, new language, all of the things. It may be the first time some people are away from home and away from loved ones, whether that's family or friends. It may be the most stressful time in someone's life that they've encountered so far. But it also could be that it gives somebody a sense of belonging where they haven't had that before. Although service members come from all walks of life and backgrounds, when they join the military, they're taught to live by a common set of values, no matter your rank, no matter your job, no matter where you come from. These are those values that the Army specifically ensures you live by. All the other branches of service probably have something very, very similar. Loyalty, to bear truth and faith and allegiance to the U.S. Constitution, the Army, your unit, or other soldiers. Duty, to fulfill your obligations. Respect, treat people as you should be treated. Selfless service, put the welfare of the nation, the Army, and your subordinates before your own. Do what's right, legally, morally, and ethically. Live up to the Army values, is honor. Integrity, do what's right, legally and morally, even when nobody's looking. Personal courage, face fear, danger, and adversity. All of these values build trust in your team and give everyone a shared value system to work together and maintain good focus on operations. The Army says that honor embodies all of the other values. It's about carrying out, acting, and living the values in everything you do. Integrity is a quality that grows you as you adhere to the Army values and core principles. The more you make choices based on integrity, the more positively you'll affect your relationships. While instilling Army values, you will train as you fight. That being said, there will be an aspect of creating some anxiety, turmoil to understand how you subconsciously react to things so that you can train yourself out of the things that are not effective or detrimental to your team to be effective even under stress and having increased anxiety. Everyone's deployments look different and come with very different challenges. Not every service member has even deployed. Some deployments may be considered to California or Louisiana or Kuwait, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Poland. It could literally be anywhere. It could also have been for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, or anywhere in between. It could be a combat tour. It could be a humanitarian tour, or simply a very specified mission where you go somewhere, do one specific thing, and you leave. You could go on deployments with teams that you've trained with for years, and you know all the ins and outs of every team member. But you could also go on an individual deployment where you meet your team in the location that you're going to be at for that mission. Whatever that looks like, the commonality there is each service member deployed is away from home, away from family members, away from friend groups, away from in harm's way potentially every day for an entire year or months even, or more. They don't have all the luxuries we have, and they're working around the clock. When you're deployed, you're deployed to a specific location without family for a reason. You need to be focused and you need to be available 24/7. During these deployments, family and friends are living geographically separated lives. So where they're maturing and moving on with their life and getting their new routines and different things like that, that's all without the service member. And vice versa. The service member is learning to live without being in arm's reach of their loved ones. Not only does the service member have to be away from family and friend groups during the deployment, but there's pre-deployment training that they have to be away for, and then post-deployment mandatory training that they potentially have to be away for. Training is an ongoing cycle in the Army and can affect relationships a lot. Also, during pre-deployment preparation, everyone fills out paperwork, takes a photo for in the event you don't come back. That in itself can be very stressful for the service member having to fill out that paperwork, for the family members knowing that that paperwork exists if they do. Just the reality that that hits when you actually do paperwork for that is stressful. Understand, all military training supports the mission statement to defend the U.S. and the team and in team dynamics. So all the training that you're doing in the military is in a team dynamic, whether that is a team, a squad, a platoon, which those subsequently get bigger. Team is probably about 4 people, squad is probably about 10 to 12 people, platoon could be somewhere around 50 to 60 people. So you're training for those smaller elements, and then also how your smaller element fit into the bigger elements. So all training is based on team dynamics, whatever that team looks like. In some cases, people don't even physically deploy. They don't go to the location, but they're very much involved in the deployment. In the intelligence field, this is very common because of the access to classified systems. If you have too many classified systems in a deployed contingent environment, it slows down your capability to get the information you need in a timely manner. So a lot of times the intelligence section stays back, but they work swing shifts. So you're going home every day after your shift. You might be working 12-hour shifts, but then you're going home exhausted. Your family is right there, but you don't get to spend time with them because you're sleeping to turn around and go back to your next 12-hour shift. Sometimes that's even a harder pill to swallow than being away to be able to focus. This slide is just to depict the different operations the military has supported. We often hear about Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, and a lot of times maybe Operation Inherent Resolve, but all of the operations are not ever talked about. So I just wanted to give you some perspective there. There's always an operation the military supports. Challenges veterans face. Veterans face a lot of challenges throughout their entire career, but some of the most difficult is when they have to reintegrate. On one hand, service members are extremely resilient and can jump back into something like they didn't miss a day, it didn't miss a beat. But how do you do that when you have seen so much and changed as a person completely because of what you've seen in a deployment or in training or while you've been away from your family? That's hard. That's hard to do. Does that mean all training is surrounding by being shot or being in a firefight or things like that? No, absolutely not. There are different team dynamics that you need to have, like effective communication or resiliency training. Even though those seem kind of benign, those are important things to train on in a team dynamic. Imagine coming home from being gone for a year and your entire house is rearranged. You don't know where anything is anymore. Or your family has a routine you're not accustomed to or a part of. In some ways, that may sound like not a big deal. But when you have changed and you already feel disconnected just by simply coming home, and you don't know how you're going to reintegrate with that in itself, it becomes a bigger deal than some people think it should be. Or how about your kids ask your spouse who you are? Maybe they're small, maybe they were babies when you left, and now they're a year old, year and a half, 2 years old. How hard would that be to swallow for your kids to ask who you are? It's hard to come down from being hypervigilant also. Every day, every second. Some people are in situations where your life literally depends on how vigilant. When you're like that for an entire year, every single day, it's hard to just shake that. That is now the person that you have become, or the person you've had to be for a year. Habits are hard to break. What's the problem with that? Well, when you return home and you built these strong bonds with your team because you were in life or death situations with them, where's your comfort zone? Your comfort zone is now your team, not your spouse, not your family necessarily. It's your team. And not in a malicious or bad way, but that's what it's had to be for the last year. So reintegration is extremely hard sometimes. Dealing with emotions of war. When you're in the fight and something happens, a team member is killed in action or is injured severely and has to be medevaced out, and you had to render first aid to that person, and maybe they didn't make it, you're forced to come to terms with that and then turn around and stay in the fight because you're still in harm's way. So a lot of people don't deal with emotions of war until they're back, until they're in a safe place to do so. So that happens typically when they get back. I put a link at the end of this slideshow to a video that I would like you guys to see. There's actually a couple videos I think will give you some more perspective on what service members go through. I will say that one of the links is a hero ceremony or called a ramp ceremony. And that's when a soldier is killed in action, and it's a ceremony for them as they're being put on a plane to go back to their family. It's intense and it's gut-wrenching, but it will give you some perspective on the emotional fortitude a soldier has to have. Dealing with a disability the first time. I mean, if you have a disability You have to learn to deal with that internally. You have to learn to deal with the outward appearance of that. And how society views you now. Sometimes that's harder for some people to do than others. Transitioning to civilian life. So we're going back again to the stages of life, the infancy stage of life, to learn. After being in the military, we were broken down and forced to learn a new culture, new language, all of those things. And now we're doing it again. But we're doing it again with a fully developed ego and a fully probably successful career that we had in the military. Navigating academic environments. So it's not just the academic environment, it's a new language, it's a new culture, it's a new place to fit in where you haven't, that you might not, just from generational differences. If somebody's retiring and going into academia, they're probably the oldest person there. I can tell you because I'm in that boat myself. And that's hard. That's hard to sit there and say, I didn't do this when I was your age. I now have to do it when I'm old enough to be your mother. Balancing family, work, and studies. So most service members have a family, have an established career, like I said, but now they're looking for work. Now they're looking for work and they're trying to finish their studies while balancing family life, which a lot of students that come from high school or just go straight into higher education don't face, at least to that extent. Sense of belonging or purpose in the civilian world. Like I said, all training in the military is done in teams and to support a team. You are not to think of yourself. If your soldier messes up, guess what? It's your fault as the leader. So that aspect is gone now. You don't have people that count on you. You don't have a need to fit in a team. You don't have a place on a team to have a responsibility that you're feeding into a bigger picture. That is all gone. Now, that team dynamic exists in the civilian world. It's just a little different. And navigating to find that takes some time. Not knowing what they don't know. I'm going to tell you, we don't know where we're supposed to start and who is the holder of all information. So that's what we're looking for help with. Where do I start and who can help me? Once you point me in a direction, I have the capability to go figure out what I need to do, get it done, and get my school or whatever it is, job rolling. I, as the veteran or service member, need that help just because of the different culture, different world that it is. So this graph depicts the veterans in higher education. Now, if you notice, it kind of plateaus in the middle there. And I just want to say one thing about this. The Army culture of the last 20 years that I've been in has changed. When I first came in, the rhetoric was, you don't need a degree, you have a career. That has changed. And now it's even supported with promotion points, and you get even extra promotion points if you finish your degree in the military. So I'm not so concerned that it's plateauing, because I think service members and veterans are getting into higher education at an earlier pace. They just need that extra little oomph and support to know they can finish and they should finish. Okay, transitional challenges. I mean, this is a lot of what Regina is going to go over a little bit later on how you can support them on campus. These are the things, some of the things that are bigger deals to veterans. Difficulty with the GI Bill. They just don't know where to start. Or when the paperwork comes back, why is it coming back so much? Or how to properly fill it out. Late payments. Understanding that it takes a little bit more time than maybe the military takes to process things. And that's okay. Communication and open communication is the key to this. If we know that it's being worked and there's nothing else we owe you, then that's really important. So if there's an email sent, waiting to respond when you get an answer might make a veteran feel a little anxious. So if you get an email and you need to look something up or you need to research something to get a better answer for them, it'll build your relationship better if you just send them a quick email back saying, hey, I got your email. I'm looking into it and I'll get back to you in a couple days or a week or however long it's going to take. We talked a lot about the other stuff. Solutions to transitional challenges. Priority registration, fee deferment, enrollment checklist. So having a vet center, having a consolidated place for veterans to go that they can get some questions answered is really key. It will help them a lot. Just like every student needs help getting started, so does a veteran. But just understand that they are also learning a new culture, a new language. And I'm probably going to say that ad nauseum during this. But that is the truth, and that's where it's challenging. Student veteran organizations, veteran resource centers, vets are always willing to help where they can and always willing to talk to another vet about their experiences, what they went through, or how they overcame a challenge or an obstacle. So use them. Get them together, put an email distro together and just put out some very vague information or different events in the area and get them involved. Ask them, hey, are you willing to be a mentor? Are you willing to talk to new students that come in that are veterans? You will rarely get, no, I would prefer not to. You will probably get all of their participation. So it doesn't just need to be staff and faculty. Understanding vets have been through a lot of things and could be diagnosed with a myriad of things based on what they go through. Everybody's reactions are not the same, though, and how people deal with things are obviously not the same. Two people on the same team could have two different levels of PTSD or traumatic brain injury or just different diagnoses, anxiety, depression, different things like that. About 11 to 20% of veterans who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom are diagnosed with PTSD in a given year. Estimates suggest that around 19% of veterans returned from Iraq and Afghanistan may have experienced a traumatic brain injury. And almost 1 in 4 women and 1 in 100 men in the military report experiencing military sexual trauma. Seeing these things does not mean in all cases they need to be seen by mental health immediately. Simply pull them aside after class and ask them if they're okay if you see any of these things, like being tongue-tied, they can't express themselves, daydreaming, showing restless behavior, slipping a pen or fidgeting or tapping on their desk or anything like that, being withdrawn or not participating in class, daydreaming, or showing inappropriate reactions. So there is a somewhat dark humor culture in the military. Again, that doesn't mean they need to go see mental health immediately. But just simply pulling them aside after class and asking them, hey, I noticed you were daydreaming a little bit. Are you okay? You just tired? Simply asking that, they might tell you, yes, I need help and I can't get in to see mental health. They might say that. They might also say, oh, no, sorry, I just dozed off for a minute or daydreamed for a second. My bad. But the simple act of just asking and noticing will build your trust with them and build that good relationship. Okay, so I just talked about building trust and open communication. Open communication. If you're looking into something, just tell them, hey, give me a week, give me 3 days, give me this time, and I'll get back to you. we are used to turning around stuff like time now, and when we get suspenses, it's due yesterday. So just understand that they're operating on a different operational tempo. So like quick, go, 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 go. Or, I mean, inquire about their branch of service, how long they served, what their job specialty was. Some may not want to talk about it, and that's okay. Don't cry if they don't want to talk about it. But ask them. Be interested in that stuff. That will build your relationship with them and build their trust in you. Once you have their trust, we're pretty loyal people. Discuss their career goals. Don't ask them if they killed anybody. Some may say that asking how somebody got injured is looked down upon. I don't think that's the case, but if you ask them and they try to avoid the question, then don't cry. Just start talking about something else. Okay, having a central location for resources, job opportunities. There's a lot of organizations out there that you can partner with or just have point of contact information on hand to link veterans up with. You don't have to know everything about them, just knowing what they do and knowing who the point of contact is will go a long way. And it gives veterans a place to start and knowing that hey, you took an interest in keeping this list. Now I'll take the list. Thank you very much. And I'm going to go do all the work to see what I need help with and who can help. But again, it shows that little bit of effort to care that they are facing a very big potential transition. Social events once a quarter or more. It could be coffee in the morning, or it could be just, hey, let's have a town hall on everybody's experience when they did orientation here at the school. It could be something very simple and very benign. It doesn't have to be a big elaborate event where you're barbecuing and feeding everybody and feeding 200 plus people. It doesn't have to be that. Those of course are great and will attract a crowd, and especially if there's events for the family, look for that too. And they will come. They want to be a part of that, and they want to know that you guys as staff and faculty support them. Student engagement. Hey, how you doing? I just wanted to say, how are you doing? That simple phrase right there, very general phrase, will go a long way with the service member. And then building student veteran support team. Like I said, they are more than willing to help. I'm sure, will jump on board. Just ask them a question at an orientation or something. Hey, are you willing to have a vet reach out to you if they need help? I'll almost guarantee 99% will say yes. Okay, so this is just a couple pictures of my team in Hawaii. So one is at the military ball. The top right is a picture we were laying out equipment for a long time. And I just want you to notice that most of them are still smiling. So it's just that sense of teamwork. There are officers in there. There's enlisted service members in there. We worked as a team to get the task accomplished, even though it was a tedious task that was hot and took a long time. We're still there. We're still smiling. The bottom left is a picture. It was a soldier's 21st birthday, and we were in the middle of an exercise where we were working 24-hour shifts, and we just took 15 minutes to just drink some cider out of a shot glass and acknowledge that this was a big milestone. It's his 21st birthday. Little stuff like that goes along. And then obviously there's a Christmas party photograph where we did an ugly sweater contest. So just, it doesn't have to be some big elaborate event, just a themed day or just acknowledgement. Say, hey, thank you, and hey, let's do this so we can all participate together. Okay, in summary, I hope that you gain some context as to what a military member goes through. We're not stupid. We don't need specific instructions on how to take a step forward and like you saw in the basic training video. We're way past that. Just understand we're having to go back to infancy, toddler stages of life and learn civilian culture, civilian language, and we just need a little bit of direction. I can't stress enough, if a veteran comes to you for help and you give the impression that they are a hindrance or annoying to you, they will never come back to you. And that is one of the probably main reasons that service members don't complete their higher education or don't complete something they set out to do, because they were met with somebody that didn't feel like they were supported or felt like they were a burden on somebody, and we don't ever want to feel like we're a burden on somebody. So having that just genuine care and very simple things, like just it comes down to just understanding that everything that a military member was taught was to be in a team. Now they're having to talk about themselves and build themselves up. And that's a hard transition to make. The strong bonds they've created in the military, they want that in the civilian life, but it's just different when everybody's out for themselves now, to have those, to pursue those relationships, right? And then some don't like to ask for help, but they need it. We offer it. Just know that they need it. We're essentially, like I said before, toddlers with a fully developed ego. And just remember, they're dealing with more than just having to enroll in school. That being said, I'm going to pass it to Regina.
Okay, so if you stop sharing, then I will pull up my presentation and I'll move forward. Some of this information may be a little reiterative with what Katie talked about, but it's definitely in support of what Katie talked about. So how is my screen looking, Katie? Is that showing you the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I am Regina Watkins, Director of Veteran Enrollment and Benefits, the Tennessee Board of Regents. Now, I was not in the military. Like Katie, I am more familiar with Army. I did work at Fort Campbell for 20 years in the Education Center, running a campus there. And my husband is actually a retired 100% disabled veteran. And my daughter has used military benefits, GI Bill, and I have used those. So lots of information here about different things that we can do. So military culture. When we talk about military culture, let's see if I can get this to work. What we're going to talk about today is advising veterans, also military family members. Some of the terminology that Katie talked about might go in a little more depth, as well as the different things that should happen with the student life cycle, and also practical examples that you can use working with military students. As Katie said, there are different values and beliefs, but you can see a theme that runs through all of these. It's usually honor, respect, duty. There's always a commitment to what service members have done in the military. All right, these are free resources. Yes, free. I said free resources that you can access to find out more information. Psych Armor, and there is a link here out. However, if you just Google Psych Armor, you will get a link to sign up for their website, and you can do any of these different courses. They're usually about 15 to 20 minutes long, so that's what I like about them. They're very short. Military basics, what veterans want you to know, even women who serve in the military, and a little bit about advising military students on higher education. Now, this Veterans Ready to Work, the SHRM certificate, is an 8-hour certification, but it is exceptional, and I would encourage you to do it. You don't have to do it all at the same time, but it does talk to you about veterans and military in the workplace and different things that you will see and how you can work with their leadership to benefit your organization. Okay, the military culture, is built on camaraderie, brotherhood, sisterhood, shared experiences, as Katie said, that hypervigilance, different terminology, and transition. So you will see service members that, back into the parking spot. They need to see the door. If you're going to have them in a classroom and they want to sit at the back, or they need to sit somewhere where they can see the door, all of that is part of that hypervigilance. And please respect that. And if you are building veteran centers, make sure that you look at that in respect to where things are in that particular space so that they feel very comfortable. Okay, veteran life. Sometimes there is a sense of loss of family. Sometimes they don't have transferable skills. If you were 11 Bravo in the military, you were infantry, there might not be as many jobs that you can do infantry in the civilian sector. Their core beliefs aren't being met. Some might have sound and sight sensitivity. We do give an example. I can remember my daughter had a dance senior show, and at the end, they had all these balloons, and somebody just started popping balloons. And every one that was in the military, you could see a reaction because of that noise and that popping noise. So pay attention to that. If something is going to occur at an event, make sure that you are thinking about the veterans and the active duty military in the room, and that you are not causing them stress due to sound and sight sensitivity. Safety is always a priority to them. They are going to protect anyone in the room as well as privacy. Okay, so I like to ask, when does military culture awareness begin? Well, it begins from the very beginning. When you begin to speak to students about coming to your school, you need to be very aware of military culture and the awareness of that. Starts from the very beginning. And I like to say that there are basically 4 types of veteran prospects. And please be very conscious of this, because we want to serve veteran students and active duty service members and their families by doing what is right for them. They have earned their benefits, and we want to make sure that they are using those benefits to get what they need from an education and from a career. So you've got those that know what they want to do, and they just need your help. And as Katie said, don't blow somebody off. Don't just say, oh, just go to the website and figure it out. Sometimes you just need to, get them started. Tell them what you need to do. And I'll show you a checklist in a little bit that can help you with that. You also have those that do not know what they want to do, and they need you to help them with their options and help them apply for their benefits, because they're not sure how to do that and how to apply for college. And then you've got those that they just want to take something to use their benefits, and that's fine, because they earn those benefits. And maybe they're on a second career. Maybe they have a hobby that they want to work on. Maybe it's something that they want to do a home business like HVAC maybe, or, work on their own car, and they still have benefits available and they can use them and they can get their housing allowance, and that's okay. We have some of our Tennessee Colleges of Applied Technology where some of the students have done 2 or 3 programs, but they're all related. So maybe it's diesel, and then it's automotive, and then it's welding. But those short-term programs all together give them various credentials where they can have their own business and sustain some income there. Then we have those, and please be very, very aware of these. You have students that need to get an education, and they need to use their benefits so they can support themselves and their families. So make sure that you are paying attention to what their needs are and what their career goals are and what they want to do. Some of them want to do the same thing that they did in the military, and some of them want to do the exact opposite. So make sure that you ask about that as well. So that is pretty much in the next slide. When we talk about the different branches of service, as Katie said, what branch were you in? So if someone says I was in the Army, they were a soldier. If someone says they were in the Navy, they were a sailor. Don't call a sailor a soldier. Don't call a Marine a sailor. It's probably not going to go over very well, but they'll correct you. So you really don't have to worry about that too much. Also ask what they did in the military. If you don't know, if they say I was a 15 Echo and you're like, I don't know what that is. What does that mean? Ask them, oh, what was that? Pretty soon you'll become familiar with some of those recurring MOSs, what we call military occupational specialties. Now, here's a little chart for you where you see that someone in the Army, they have an MOS. There is a document they get that shows all of their military training that's called a JST, a Joint Services Transcript. The military, the Army are on a post. It's not always a base. A base is usually for the Air Force. Air Force get the CCAF, that's the Community College of the Air Force. If I'm speaking a foreign language to you, don't worry, we can clear some of those things up and I'll show you some acronyms here in a minute. But just so you know the difference, that Coast Guard is called Coasties. They do have an MOS. Every branch of service uses the JST, Joint Services Transcript, except the Air Force. The Air Force uses the CCAF, Community College of the Air Force. Now, these are valid transcripts. You do need to get those, and you do need to evaluate those. That is part of the VA regulations, as well as some of the tuition assistance and other benefits that service members may use. So make sure that you're familiar with those. And if you're not, then I'm going to show you those in just a second. But also the service member may not be familiar with them. I did have service members that came in the office and I would say, oh, have you seen your JST? Are you familiar with the JST? And they'll go, yeah. I'm like, you haven't seen it, have you? No, I know I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. And I would always just sit them down and say, okay, let's pull it up and let's make sure that all of your schools are on here so that you are getting the maximum credit that you need. So you'll see Navy is called a rating. Marines, it's an MOS. They're at depots, they're at bases, it's a camp. Coasties are Coast Guards, as I said. Air Force are airmen. That's a base usually. So just know that there are differences. Also, service members are encouraged to take what we call CLEP and DSST exams. These are proficiency exams. And one of the ones that you might see often are foreign language CLEPs, particularly if you have someone that speaks Spanish or Italian or some of the other languages. They may have credit from that, and you definitely need to get that. There is another transcript that many service members have, and it's called a DLI or DLPT, Defense Language Proficiency Test. That also shows that they are proficient in a language. We always took those at the Education Center because if a student needed a foreign language or humanities credit, then that would count for that. So CLEPs and DSSTs are encouraged to active duty service members because they are free to them while they are active duty. Okay, bonus questions. What are Space Force service members called? This is a new branch of the service, a new area. And if you don't know, they are called guardians. So that might be different, something that you haven't heard. So MOS, if someone comes in and you want to look up their military occupational specialty, you can do that in the ACE military guide. You can just Google that and you'll be able to find that. But there are also very good websites where you can look at a service member's MOS or AFSC and see what it correlates in a civilian career. So some of the ones that you might be familiar with are 11 is infantry, 12 is construction or engineering, 25 is IT, 31 military police, 68 is our medic. So if you have a 68 whiskey, you might see someone that was a medic and they want to go into nursing and they want to use that information there. 88 is transportation. So those are going to be your auto mechanics, truck drivers, diesel, as well as the 91s that are mechanics, and also logistics. They do lots of logistics, as well as 92, which is supply. So there are lots of different ones, but I just wanted to pull this up so you could see just a sample of what you might see. So this is what a JST looks like. So this particular person was what we say a 15 Tango 30 level. So that would tell me 15 Tango, I know that's aviation. Tango is a helicopter repairer. The UH-60 tells me what type of aircraft, and the 30 tells me what skill level they are. So if I were evaluating this for a college on semester hour basis, and a student came in, I would give them credit for computer applications. I would give them credit for an intro to management or business. They also have human resources. And then if you have aviation related credit, you'll see that there's some lower level and some upper level credit there from the ACE recommended guide on the JST. So that's a JST for Army. Here is a JST for the Marines, and you can see the Marines go a little bit differently. They go by different levels. So you want to know, are they a level 3 or are they a level 4? Because you can see the different credit that they get based on that. And then this is the Community College of the Air Force, which just looks just like a regular college transcript. Is actually also accredited by SAC, Southern Association of Community Colleges and Schools. So it is, just like the JST, a valid transcript, and you should be looking at this. One thing about the Air Force, they do try to make sure that all of their airmen get at least an associate degree while they're active duty. Okay. So I always ask, what language are you speaking? So this is what a service member might say. I was 11 Bravo, I was NCO, I was E6. I was also a recruiter. I was at Campbell, then I went to Hood. I was at Humphreys. I had several TDYs, JRTCs, assessed for the Rangers. Then I ETS'd at 15 and went guard, and now I'm a 91 Bravo. So some of you have no idea what that means, any of that means. But the same thing, what are you telling the student? Go to the website, submit an app, create an account, go to the portal, fill out a FAFSA, give me your transcripts. I need your JST, your CCAF, your 214. Apply for your benefits. I need a COE. You need to go to your e-benefits page. I need you to do WAVE at the end of each month. I need you to self-enroll, register, do orientation, start class, and do WAVE each month. So some of you you're not speaking the same language. So if you're speaking Chinese and they're speaking Greek, you're not communicating. So break down, just like you want them to break down those acronyms, you need to break down the acronyms for the student. No, they're not stupid, but you do need to explain. If you're talking to someone and you see that deer in the headlights look, just stop and say, you familiar with that acronym? Or do you know what the FAFSA is? Sometimes they'll say yes, and sometimes they'll say no, or I heard of it, but can you help me out? So just make sure that you are paying attention. Okay, so I want to provide you with a few acronyms. These are just some of the general ones. And now, once again, these are Army-based acronyms for the most part. They may call it something different in the different branches of service, but, you know, an MOS, a JST, an LES, an NCO, tuition assistant, etc. And this is the phonetic alphabet that you will often hear military use. They usually say Alpha. I was a 15 Tango. I was a 15 Golf. They usually don't say cat and dog and that sort of thing. So when you hear this type of phonetic alphabet, then you know the person might have been in the military or related to military and use that often. Okay, so what do you do when a veteran applies? How do you assist them? Veterans in active duty are used to being, as you saw in the video that Katie showed you, being told what to do. They're usually given a list. If not physically, at least you can help walk them through some of these things. You know, call or email for assistance, provide checklists. I always like them to have a checklist and also help them walk through the checklist. I usually say, you know, do number 1 and 2, do the application, then I'll call you and tell you what to do next. So that's a great thing to do, but we'll talk about some different things that you can do throughout the term, even up to graduation. Okay, so I just have a good checklist that Ball State provided, and I just like the way this looks because they tell you how to apply. They have the hyperlinks. They send this to them, even with a QR code, but they also let them know that at any time you can come in and I'll be glad to help you with that. Okay, you always want to have a military affiliated student website with the GI Bill, benefits. Ask a service member if they have the GI Bill. Someone will say, I used it all. Well, maybe not. They may have used it all, but since they have 10% or more disability, they're also eligible for a second type of benefit. Or they'll say, my GI Bill expired. Well, did it? Because now there's a forever GI Bill and that doesn't expire. I gave it to my family member. Well, once again, sometimes if they retained a month, they can use some of that GI Bill, or they might be eligible for some other type of benefit, such as VRME, which is vocational readiness and employment. I don't know how to get my 214. Everybody can get a 214, except my father, who was in World War II. We couldn't get a 214, but we could get some documents that he was in the military. But most of the school certifying officials have a link and they can help you get that. Also, I had someone who said I didn't have an honorable discharge. However, they could still use veterans education benefits, the vocational readiness and employment. Getting a JST or CCAF. The JST the school can get, you can put a link on your application and have the student check permission, and then you can upload that for them or get that for them. The CCF is a different animal. They do have to actually get that themselves, and it's usually not too hard to get, but sometimes it can take a while if the Air Force portal is down. Okay, application and orientation. Make sure that you have some type of question on your application that asks if they served, are they currently serving, if the parent or spouse is serving, because now we have children and spouses who can use benefits, and whether or not they want to use their benefits. So that's just a quick and easy way for the school to help them move forward with their education. During orientation, what do students need to know? There are several things that you can work through with them. How to apply for their benefits if they haven't already done so, what's covered, what's not covered, other requirements like their academic records, everything that you need to get. You need them to do a FAFSA or federal financial aid application. This is very important. Please, 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 please let the service member and or family member know what happens if you just stop going to school. What happens if you stop attending? What happens if you don't successfully pass your courses? There are several different situations here, and what we don't want to happen is that a service member says, I didn't know I was going to have to pay for that, or I didn't know that they were going to take that out of my tax return because I had an overpayment from the VA. Just make sure that you are sharing that information from them. And I always said to the service member, don't ever drop a class or stop attending unless you talk to me first, because sometimes I would have them say, oh, I need to drop this class. Well, you know, you're going to have to pay all that back. Oh no, I think I can make it. Or they'd say, I'm failing. I'm saying, what do you mean you're failing? Yeah, I have a C. I'm like, that is not failing. And you're not failing. You're okay. We need to help you with tutoring, or do we need to get you some additional assistance with that? So they think a B is failing. So, you know, overachievers, they all want an A. Sometimes a B is okay. So that is not failing. Oops, don't know what just happened. There we go. Let's go back here to graduation. Student veterans. I think I stopped presenting in teams, didn't I? There we go. That's going to have to be edited out, but.
You were good.
Okay. Am I? Okay. I don't know what happened. All right. Get to here. Okay. Graduation. You need to celebrate graduation. There are different ways that you can do that. You can have eligible veterans receive a cord. You can have a graduation banquet. You need to make sure that they're processed and you notify the VA that they did complete, because the VA wants to keep up with that. But also you can provide these cords and maybe even a point at graduation to celebrate the fact that they are a veteran. Okay. So some do's and don'ts. I think there's a tendency for people to say thank you for your service to a veteran, and sometimes service members don't know what to say to that. And sometimes you, as Katie was saying, you might get a different reaction than what you expected. So instead of saying thank you for your service, if someone says they were military, why not say, well, what was your favorite duty station? Or what was the favorite part about the military? Or something to that effect. Learn about military culture. And ask questions. As Katie said, listen to what they're telling you. Don't assume all veterans are soldiers. Don't adopt stereotypes, and don't ask insensitive questions of service members. I will tell you one little anecdote. All of the Tennessee Board of Regents schools had Veterans Day events, and I did attend one at Volunteer State. And one of the young ladies that was nominated, I went over to her table and asked her, congratulations, and how are you doing? And she said, I said, I'm from Clarksville near Fort Campbell. And she said, oh, I miss that. And I said, oh, she said, yeah, I miss the camaraderie with different, with being, that sisterhood, that brotherhood, that camaraderie of being in the service. And I asked her if she knew about veterans women's groups. And she said, no, I didn't know about that. So think about maybe having different veterans groups on your campus where you can have inside and outside veterans come in and just, get together and have a cup of coffee and just have, 30 minutes once a month in your break room. Reminders, remember that military affiliated students add value to your campus student body. There is nothing like the leadership that you will see from a military student because they all go through leadership courses. As Katie said, they want to serve the community, so they have a high definition of service and how to help others, and they want to help others. Do try to attend a National Guard or a Veterans Day event so you can see the fruits of that labor. Do know that employers want to hire veterans for those same reasons because they show up on time, they start on time, they work while they are there. They may bring things to the forefront that others might not say, and they also have exceptional leadership qualities. And also remember that veterans are used to being guided through a process, so try to do that as much as possible so that you can help them get to where they need to be. So that concludes my presentation on the opposite side of Katie's personal experiences. And if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to get those to us, and we will do our best to answer those for you.